No, don't eat the angel.
2.
Not the angel.
Wait.
Hi, everybody. It's Linda Bennett.
Wait, I'm starting over.
No, this is fine. It's Linda Bennett, your spiritual counselor and psychic host for Metaphysically Speaking. And Gracie is taking over the show. She's munching on the angel. These are not real candles, by the way. Flames will not get into my house ever. There are enough artificial candles out there, people, where you can be safe. Now, metaspeak.com with Linda Bennett on the web, and you can find us on the different Facebook, Twitter, and whatever. And we're spinning along there daily, 24/7. You can find us anytime, any day. And I want to point out these beautiful petunias before Gracie rearranges them. That my daughter. Peonies. What I said? No, peonies. My favorite flower in the entire world are peonies. Peonies, roses, and lilacs are my 3 favorite flowers. And they're obviously not from America because this is the dead of winter and they don't grow here in Florida. So you got these in some kind of fresh market that you went to, and there they were. They were little buds except for one, and now they're doing great. And they cheer me up. I don't know about you, but flowers always make me perky and happy, except if they're yellow or orange. We don't like yellow and orange. Or the really muted colors that a lot of interior designers are trying to push. Muted soothing gray, muted soothing beige, muted soothing sage. If you know who I'm talking about on the Home and Garden channel, then you know I would never, ever, ever use those colors, especially since I'm surrounded by unmuted fuchsia and plenty of flowers. We are going to be talking about a phenomena called the planet Saturn and how it affects you. What? It affects me? I don't believe in astrology. Well, you may not believe in the moon, but take a look outside. It's up there. You may not believe in global climate change, but it's already happening. We've already lost lots of communities. Those islands in the Pacific are just about completely gone, and the people have relocated to other bigger islands. But we are having El Nino, La Nina. One is the masculine, one is the feminine, and that's the way the cold air comes off the Pacific. Whether we get a lot of hurricanes in the south and in the southeast or not, how cold it is up north. A lot of that is changing. Systems are staying longer than they normally do. They're out of cycle. You've read the papers, you've seen the news, you know what's happening. A lot of the places I played as a little girl on Long Island are gone. The beaches are gone. So anybody who thinks there isn't such thing as climate change is crazy. Quite frankly, see a psychiatrist and watch the Weather Channel. Watch the Weather Channel regularly. They have some really great shows about different world events that are going on, whether it's tsunamis or earthquakes or volcanoes, whatever. Talk about learning about those things. Saturn is the planet that's the great teacher. It's that annoying teacher in school you had who made you push yourself and push yourself and push yourself and strive and work a little harder and work a little better and work a little smarter. Oh, if that guy would just leave me alone, if that woman would just give me a break. And then one day you realize, wow, I'm better. I still bless and say prayers for, that's Gracie, trying to get the angel, say prayers for Mrs. Armette and Mr. Sherry. Because Mrs. Armette got me out of math class, even though I have a genius IQ and I'm psychic and I would get the answers, but they wanted me to prove it out. How unreasonable. They wanted me to prove it out. I couldn't, I just got the answers psychically. And Mr. Sherry is the one who gave me an assignment where I had to debate, and it was about birth control. And I'm pro-birth control. I'm pro-woman controlling her body. But here's the thought, people. You just can't go abuse your body once you decide to keep the fetus. If you decide to stay pregnant, now you're responsible for taking care of that fetus. So that could be another show, but if you keep it, you take care of it. You can give it up for adoption, but you make sure it's a healthy pregnancy. But I'm all for women taking control of their lives. Why are men against it? Well, because if you control a woman and keep her barefoot and pregnant, you keep her out of politics, you keep her out of business, you keep her out of everything. You can just go do what you want. Well, sorry, boys, but that's not how it's supposed to be. And if you saw the last show, you saw where I was talking about equality, why Jesus and Magdalene and Jesus, Mary and Jesus and Mary and Joseph, Jesus and Magdalene came to the planet, and why they had followers who were poor and hungry and tired, and the women were kept in the house. It's not the way things are supposed to be. Women are honored just as men are honored, and you don't get honored just because you've shown up. You get honored because you're kind and you're good and you contribute to the planet. Last show, we did a segment. We should call it Gracie's segment, because Krista, was it Krista or Kristen? Well, get up here, oh beast issue. Whatever her name is. Now she's in a box this big. You saw how big she is? Well, the box is this big, and she's going to make it her size. She suggested that Gracie would be better behaved if I gave her own segment. So what I'm doing is reading from a newsletter that I get every month from two different newsletters from two different veterinary schools. And they have a new test now for feline kidney disease and also for mammary cancer. There's research being done that corresponds with cats and with women, female women, human women. So interestingly enough, we share a lot of the same DNA. And so these tests are now working in cats, and they're going to start having them, I think, in the end of 2015 for women. They're doing some preliminary studies on women. At the same time, they're doing the studies on cats to detect mammary cancer. And that's a very important thing. And if you've got a Persian cat, God bless you. I had Persians. I wouldn't get another Persian simply because it's heartbreaking. Genetically, they have been bred. First of all, they shouldn't have smashed in faces. When I was a little girl and I had Persians, you didn't have smashed in faces. You had beautifully shaped faces. That's been done as a distortion. I'm of the opinion that you don't distort an animal's natural abilities, you enhance them. And sadly, with this distortion of the face called brachycephalus, like pugs and bulldogs and whatever other dogs have that smashed in face, goes the same gene with kidney problems. So if you've got a Persian and any other cat, you better have a good relationship with your vet. Bring your cat in twice a year for a dental and for a checkup, and make sure the kidneys are tested with ultrasound. Ultrasound is harmless. The vet spreads, you know, if you've seen a sonogram taken, if you're watching a program and there's a sonogram, they take the jelly and they spread it around. They take a little wand that you spread around the tummy and you see the fetus. You can see the whole body's organs with that, and you can see if there's a problem with the kidneys. So that is important for you to have your vet check. From the beginning, even a kitten, so you get a baseline. Then when the cat's a year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, etc., make sure that's taken care of. Make sure you have a really good vet. Oh, are you up here? No, she's trying to get on my seat, but I'm on my seat. Okay, you had your time. Let's get back to the planet of Saturn that teaches us lessons we don't want to learn because it's a nuisance. And we've already learned them, so we think, or we don't want to deal with them because it's inconvenient. And we're getting a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend or a new car or a new job, and we just can't be bothered with lessons. Well, the universe spins regardless of what you want to do about it. So you might as well learn the lessons. You're not going to graduate from 6th grade and go into 7th grade or leave high school if you don't do your lessons and if you don't learn them and you don't remember them. Fortunately, when I was a kid, you built upon each year's lesson. So if you forgot something from 2nd grade, when you're in 10th grade, you needed to remember it. So that was a reinforced education. I don't know what they're doing today. We're getting a lot of people, especially in the South, who think there was no such thing as a civil war. It was Northern aggression against the South. Yeah, we just picked on them. So get your education in the library. Get your education from good bookstores. Get your education from going online as well as from your school. And ask good questions. Because not all school districts are equal. So therefore, you need to make sure that you're informed. And that's what Saturn does. It informs you of the lessons you are going to be learning right now. And December 24th, Christmas Eve of 2014, Saturn, the planet that's the great teacher that you don't understand as your teacher until you realize how inspired you are at this point, left Scorpio, which was very good news for those of us who have Scorpio prominently in our charts, because it was crushing our ability to make things happen. It was crushing our feelings of adequacy. It was crushing every single thing about us, trying to remold us if we needed remolding, and trying to reinforce what was really good about us. And so therefore, if you came through that alive, Sagittarius is interesting. Now, thank you for joining us. Practical astrology, Sagittarius deals with humor and joy and being the funny guy in town, being the funny guy at the party. Sagittarius men particularly don't marry young. And if they do marry young, if they're very spiritual, they marry the right partner. But they tend to go from girlfriend to girlfriend to girlfriend. Girls tend to go from boyfriend to boyfriend to boyfriend because they're all looking for excitement. And Sagittarian people tend to be attractive. They tend to be attractive, and they tend to want nice clothes and want nice cars, nice houses, all because they think they deserve it. And they're so funny and so humorous that you just really can't get mad at them. Until you realize they're never around to help take care of the housework. They're never around to do the work at group in school when you all get together for a project. And the Sagittarian is assigned to, well, secretly assign it to somebody else as well, because the Sagittarian probably is not going to come through. They're going to be dancing off doing something else. So they tend not to be reliable. Their lesson is to learn to be reliable, to learn to look inward, self-inward, inward in other people, and not just how pretty someone is or how tall or how short or whatever. So Sagittarius also deals with communications. Studies were done years ago, and there are more people in show business, more people who are speakers, etc., and authors who are Geminis and Sagittarians, because they both deal with communication. Gemini in spiritual astrology is the male energy of God, but the power also to see its twin, which is not another male, it's the female. Male energy of God, female energy of God, one God. Two faces, one God. So Gemini deals with communication personally and throughout the world. Sagittarius takes that communication skill and cheers it up a bit. Sometimes it can cheer it up just a little too bit. A little too bit, and people don't pay attention. You can't let Sagittarius make you laugh so hard that you forget what you're hearing. So a little bit turn into no bit. You don't want that. You want to know what the message is. You want to know what's going on around you. You want to know what your friends and loved ones are saying to you. Because how else are you going to pay attention to their feelings? You live on this planet. You're responsible for knowing what your friends and loved ones think and what they do. Now, maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. Pay attention. Take it in. Talk to the universe. Talk to your cat. Talk to your dog. Talk to your bird. Talk to the trees. Talk to God. God, am I crazy? Is this happening this way? Is there a reason? And really pay attention and strip away your ego, because guess what? God's not interested in ego. Ego is the silliness of our personalities that cares about stuff. You can't take stuff with you when you cross over and you're in the astral world. And the angels are standing there saying, you idiot, one more time? You know you're going to have to go through this again? So you want to make sure that you pay attention, even if you disagree. And that means also world politics, not just national politics or town politics. You want to know what the world is thinking. Sometimes the world could be right. Sometimes the world is wrong because they're misinformed. Sagittarius in spiritual astrology takes the communication skills of Gemini and all that it's gathered throughout the other 11 signs. And it's the archer. It's not just aiming at a girlfriend or a boyfriend. It's aiming to the heavens, saying, we've learned the lessons. All the information is in the arrow. You take the bow and arrow and you shoot it up to God and the angels, and they say yes or no. You have or you have not learned the lessons. Boing, back, okay. Boing, back, dummies, you didn't do it right. Here comes another flood. So Saturn, the great teacher, left Scorpio, where it was all oppressing everyone and all of us and the female energy of the universe, and the female energy here on the planet, because Scorpio is the female energy of God in spiritual astrology or esoteric astrology. And it's moved out of Scorpio because theoretically we've learned the lessons, and it's in Sagittarius. The ability to communicate well, the ability to know what the message really is, the ability to speak the truth to yourself, to your loved ones, to your community. There was a law that was going to be passed in a neighboring community saying you can't have any dangerous or poisonous snakes. Well, you might as well have thought they were going to hang children by their eyeballs. There were letters and emails and phone calls from the entire country, from the reptile community. You can't do that. Oh, really? Well, they said, okay, we can't do that. You can have cobras. You can have anything you want. Nobody needs a cobra unless you're working with the division that handles people who have and are licensed and are appropriately trained to handle toxic venom. Every venom has some toxicity to it, even spiders. I was going to show you my spider bite in my last show. It's red. I've got them on my face. Plain red. They peel. Red again. Months to heal. It's not a black widow. It is, you know, if you can find me that Buddha thing that somebody gave me, that Buddha board, and some fresh water, I will draw a little insignia so you can spot this in your own garden, because these are miserable. It takes 3 months for these red spots to go away. That would be great. Talk to, and we're putting it together. There we go. Just bring the whole thing over here so I can spill it in front of everyone. Okay, this spider is the size of, you know, a medium-sized black widow. It is not a black widow, but I'm going to put the markings on the back, not straight. And I don't know whether it's 4 or 3 or 5, but this is the marking on the back of the black, what it looks like a black widow, but it's not. It's a black spider, and this rectangle is either yellow, yellowish orange, orange, or pinkish orange. And these dots are white. I know they look black here. This is a Buddha board where you have a pen, you dip it in water, and then it disappears. It's a very Zen kind of thing. That it's like the mandalas that the Buddhist monks and the Buddhist nuns do, and they're very intricate and beautiful and takes days to create. And then they say their prayers and they brush it away because all things are passing. Did you get that? Can I move it? Okay. So if that would be yellow in the rectangle, orange, orangish pink, or pinkish orange. And the white and the spots are white. Now, if you see the nest, which I did not see last Christmas, and as I was hanging the lights and leaning into, is this a signal? Oh, okay. Until I stepped back and I said, what are all those little white dots? And then when I got inside and I looked at my chest because I was wearing a scoop neck top, red, I look like a rash all over my chest and my neck because of those little lousy spiders. But they didn't last that long. They only lasted about a month. 3 months for these things, these little suckers on my face and on here. Why was I telling people this?
I don't know, but we need to get back to Saturn and Sagittarius.
Saturn and Sagittarius, okay. But please remove this because we know what's going to happen.
Because I felt like spiders all over.
That is my producer, Shawnee, and this is my director, Mr. Miles, and we have a visitor here, Mr. David, and of course we have the ever-present Princess Gracious Gracie as our guest, my co-hostess, actually. So when Saturn went into Sagittarius, there was an overlap. It's sort of like when the sun is coming out from behind the clouds. Well, you still see the clouds, you still see the sun, it's an overlap. So we're still feeling a little bit of the sting of Saturn and Scorpio, where we're feeling strangled and feeling that we can't move forward and life isn't going to work out. And now we have the idea that, well, we can't communicate. And when you can't communicate, you make enemies because people think you are hiding something. And maybe you're hiding something, first of all, from yourself. Here's a secret, people. You can't have a secret from yourself, because you are yourself. Your soul knows everything that you need to do. Your soul knows everything that you need to accomplish in this lifetime. So to pretend you don't have to, it's like kids putting off their homework to the last minute. How does that make you feel? This year, I had my Christmas presents wrapped by the second week in November. I forgot what some of them were. And fortunately, I have a list with everybody's name, and I have everything written down. I was like, what's in this box? What's in that box? Where's my list? Oh, that's right. Oh, I forgot I got that. So this is the first time in my life I wasn't wrapping presents the night before Christmas Eve, because we have Christmas Eve at my house. First time I wasn't stressed. Just looking for the list so I'd know what I was doing. But it felt so great. Not to be stressed, not to have wrapping paper dangling all over the place, not to have ribbons everywhere. Everything was put away nicely and neatly, and the presents were tucked under the tree, and I was happy because it was all done. That feels great, rather than waiting to the last minute and under the idea of the Christmas spirit and watching the Christmas shows like the Hallmark Channel where everybody has to be married before Christmas. Give it a rest, people. Your soul knows that's not important. Your soul knows it's more important to find the right person than to be married before Christmas. Just a thought, Hallmark Channel. So, does it mean you stop watching the Hallmark Channel? No, because it's got some nice thoughts in each one of its movies. Yes, they're a little cheesy, but nevertheless, we all live by the same rules on the planet. Be kind to each other. Be nice to each other. Be thoughtful. Be caring. Be nurturing. Give seeds to the birds and the squirrels. Have the bunnies stop chewing on your jasmine plants. That would be great if that happened in my yard. I had a rabbit that was so brazen, that I stood there and looked at the rabbit, and the rabbit kept going right in front of me. Didn't even budge, didn't even move, wasn't even embarrassed that he was eating my plants. Anyway, I communicated with that rabbit, and then the rabbit disappeared till I went back in the house. But Sagittarius says, communicate with the universe, communicate with yourself. Stop trying to fool yourself. Stop trying to push yourself in a direction you don't belong. Stop trying to push yourself with people you don't belong. Stop trying to push yourself in places you don't belong. Where do you belong? What is the meaning of your life? Who are you really? What do you stand for? What is that expression? If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Think about that. You stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. So it's telling you that you have to get to know you first and foremost. Or don't bother. Just lay down and die, because you're not going to know why you're here. Do you ever know any of those people who just drift through life and they're 10, they're 15, they're 20, they're 30, they're 40, they're 50, and they have no goals, they have no aims, they have nothing that they can say, well, I did this or I did that. It doesn't have to be monumental. Maybe they help teach kids to read. Maybe they volunteered at the vet center. Maybe they volunteered at the Humane Society. It has to be some kind of contribution that wasn't just selfish. Not just that they went and polished cars that they were thinking of buying, or tried on dresses they think would look great. What's the meaning of their lives? What's the meaning of your life? What do you want to communicate to God and the angels? How do you want God and the angels to view you? Because you can't hide from the thing that created you, the force field, the light, the God, the energy, whatever you want to call it. You can't hide. Where do you think you can hide? That's like a frog trying to hide under a leaf in a terrarium. It's not happening. So therefore, Sagittarius wants you to know you, wants your standards to be universally high. That means not getting drunk. It means not getting stoned or high on drugs. It also means trying to pay attention to not eating animals. If you want to lower your cholesterol, forget all the drugs and stop eating meat. Make sure you supplement with B complex and B12. The next Gracie segment is going to be about B12 shortage in cats. Happy about that, Gracie? So when you go to your vet, make sure you have that B12 test done. Sagittarius says, I'm going to give you, from this particular time, December 24th, 2014, till December 21st, 2017, to work this out. And I suggest you get busy. Because if you don't, when I keep retesting you, and if you keep failing, I'm going to make your tests harder and harder and harder, and you're going to think a boulder fell down on you if you don't pay attention. So the first thing is, and I'm a list person, but I'm not overboard with lists. I don't have one of those picture boards of my life because I had no idea I was going to see the next day. So, but I did have an idea. I always helped people, even in kindergarten, even as the little kid in the neighborhood. I was always giving counsel. I was always giving advice. So I knew somehow that that's what I would be doing. And that is what I do. So make a list of 3 things you want to accomplish this calendar year of 2015. Just 3. If you want to add more, make sure they're reasonable. If you're 30 or 20, you're not 25, you're not going to be an astronaut. You have to be trained. You have to have a certain amount of flying hours before they're going to put you up in the air. But you can be an aeronautical engineer. You could possibly work for NASA. You could work for one of the companies that makes the parts to the spaceships. We're going to see huge changes in the next 5 years in aeronautics. Massive. We're also, I believe, within the next 5 years going to have the government finally saying, because the rest of the world knows about other people from other planets here. The rest of the world knows. Our government knows. Have you watched President Obama? Going from bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, nice, shiny black hair. Now he's almost all gray. It's not just the Taliban that's making him gray. It's the time frame that the UFO people have given us for shaping the planet up. And we have morons in Congress who think that they have to push Christianity and get rid of that colored guy out of the White House. We don't have a colored guy in here. Can't have that. Well, guess what? He was elected twice, so shut up and get over it. And serve the people of your community, not just the Christian fundamentalists. So that's my message to Congress. So a message to yourself, just do 3 things that have meaning. If your house is a mess, if you're a hoarder or a semi-hoarder, clean it up. And what's the rule? Have 3 boxes. Keep it, hold it for 30 days, give it away. Or have a garage sale. I actually can't quite get into my garage if I pull the car in. I practically have to climb on top and walk over my car. I have so much junk in there. But I know where the junk is. I have an electrical department, and I have a sprinkler department, and I have all kinds of little sections in my garage where I know where everything is. It's just stuff needs to be moved around. So your idea of making a list of just 3 things is 3 things are very easy to accomplish. If you want to add more, great, go ahead, do it. But make them things that you know that you can at least halfway get through. Otherwise, you're setting unrealistic goals for yourself. If you need to lose 100 pounds, say that you're going to lose 50. Future goal, 100 within the next year, but 50 this year, and that is very doable. Stop eating red meat. Don't drink beer. Don't drink sodas. Immediately you'll start dropping weight. Go to your doctor for a good health checkup. Make sure your thyroid is working properly, because an awful lot of people with these genetically modified foods are finding that they're having thyroid difficulties. And that's part of the endocrine system. And that's partly in control of what happens and how you metabolize food, etc., how you metabolize, how you work out your hormones, your body chemistry. So make sure you get a good checkup, not from a doctor who is necessarily with a research foundation, because they want to push all kinds of drugs on you. So you want to find a doctor who is a really good internist or endocrinologist. But you know, there's an article in Time magazine recently that internal medicine doctors or general practitioners are leaving by droves because the insurance companies are not reimbursing them properly. Well, if you have a decent insurance company, you can say to your doctor, I will pay you extra. My amount that I'm supposed to pay you today is $10. I will give you 20. Because they're supposed to spend no more than 11 minutes with each patient to create the rotation for the day and for the week, so they get the dollar amount. So if you want your doctor to spend more time with you, then ask your doctor if you can increase the payment to him or to her, and you will get more time. There's also an article there about a doctor. They came up with this company. It starts with a Q and there's no U after it. But it's an insurance company where you pay the doctor the way they used to do in China. I don't know if they still do. They pay the doctor by the month. Individually, it's $65 a month. And this is available out in the Northwest. And your insurance will cover surgeries, anything else like that, special testing, those kinds of things. And you pay the doctor $65, no more, no less, and you get your prescriptions from him or from her because he has a pharmacy or she has a pharmacy right there. And so you don't have to spend a fortune on medications because many of them are generics. And plus, he's getting them at a discount. If you buy them from a pharmacy, they came from a big distributor where they came from the manufacturer. And so you got lots of people in between. The doctor gets them directly from the manufacturer. So, say to your doctor, can I pay you extra and get extra time with you? I'm sure the doctor is not going to turn you down. So therefore, make sure you're healthy. Make sure you're following a reasonable diet. 5 or 6 small meals during the day is far better than cramming a bunch of food down you. And if you have lunch at 11 or 12 o'clock, of course you're going to be hungry at 3. Have good snacks at your desk or have some unsweetened yogurt. You know the deal. Watch Dr. Oz. But make these goals achievable. Read 3 books a year. I'm not talking little novellas. I'm not talking, what are those cartoon things? Comic books. I'm talking 3 good books. Maybe something by Dr. Oz, maybe by Andrew Weil, maybe Deepak Chopra. Maybe reread Harry Potter. I love those books. I love the books. And she's written some new books we have to get a hold of. So therefore, they are very worthwhile books. They're talking about loyalty. They're talking about the mission of Sagittarius and Saturn, of loving and being kind and thoughtful to your friends, of being loyal, of fighting for something that's right, not just convenient, of doing the right thing simply because it's right, not just because you might sleep better that night or because your friends will think you're great. Do what's right because it is right. Okay, so those are your 3 books. You're going to lose some weight or keep yourself in better shape, like maybe you have to do, you're being paged, or maybe you have to get yourself in healthier condition. I work in the yard. You'll never find me on a treadmill. It's like a bowling alley. If you ever find me inside a bowling alley, you'll know that I was murdered outside and dragged inside. These nails don't bowl. So if you ever find me on a treadmill, I was murdered placed on the treadmill. Okay? I'm not going to be on a treadmill. If the water were not like bath water in the Gulf of Mexico, I would be in the water. I'm allergic to anything with chlorine or chemicals, so I can't go near a chlorinated pool. So I'm stuck. So I do yard work. I've got a great yard. Beautiful flowers, beautiful trees, birds of every kind, squirrels, bunnies, everything, including raccoons and possums that love to dig big holes. So say to yourself, I'm going to get myself in shape. So if I garden, or if I ride a bicycle, or if, and please don't go out at dusk, people, there are coyotes in every state except Hawaii. They're all through Florida. They're right here in this neighborhood. Coyotes are not like wolves. They want you. Wolves don't want any part of you. They want to run away. They don't want you to know they're there. They'll hide. They'll say, no, down, down, down. She's coming. She's coming. Okay, up, 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 up. She's going. Coyotes go, boom. And I'm not joking. I've worked with a lot of wild animals. I used to be a volunteer at a rehab center. They didn't handle coyotes, fortunately, because I would not have worked with them. They do not belong here. They're an invasive species in this area. And wherever they are, they chase out wolves. And wolves finally eventually turn around and chase them out. They are upsetting the balance of nature. And so therefore, be careful if you're riding a bike or if you're pushing a stroller. In this neighborhood alone, I cannot tell you how many dogs, small dogs especially, or medium-sized dogs have been grabbed by coyotes. You see one, there's one here, and there's 1 or 2 behind you that you don't know. All you see is the one. And he's the one like, you know, like the grifters in the park where they want to get your wallet, and one's making jokes and being a clown, and so you're focused on that when you're not focused on these other 2 that are going to rush you. So ride a bicycle, do yard work, lose some weight, get yourself in better shape, read 3 books. If you're single, do your happy soulmate list. If this is not someone you'd want for your mother, your father, your daughter, your husband, your not your husband, your cousins, your sisters, your brothers, your best friend, why are you there? Then that person's not for you. So work on the list of the person you want. Don't say brown eyes, black hair, 5'2". Who cares? Say good health. If an obesity to me is unpleasant because that person is so unhealthy, tragically unhealthy. And so you say, okay, if the person's a little overweight, well, you get to past 35 and you start gaining a few inches around the middle. That's the body chemistry, cortisol. Or if you lead a very stressful life, you're going to have the same problem. So you want somebody who's in good health, in good shape, who has dignity about their own self-being. As you should have dignity about your self-being. Be at your dentist 3 times a year. Get your teeth cleaned. Not going to kill you. And your dentist can keep track of how your teeth and your gums are going. Take better care of yourself. Okay, so that's 4 things now on the list. Very doable. Well, I don't have the money. Really? Do you smoke? Do you drink? You got the money. Stop smoking, stop drinking, you're wealthy. You can go to the doctor. You can get a bicycle. You can go to a secondhand bicycle shop. There are bicycle shops everywhere. I was surprised. I was stuck in traffic and I looked over and I said, bicycles? I thought you had to go to a department store. Drive further down the road, stuck in traffic again. Looked over, bicycles? I couldn't, there were 2 bike shops on one giant main street. 2 bicycle shops. Where have I been? I don't know. I need to get stuck in traffic a little more often. But there are ways that you can get exercise. And if you live in an apartment and you say it's a walk-up apartment, well, that's hauling groceries up a walk-up apartment, people. You got my sympathy. That in itself is exercise. I used to carry around, you know, those gallon jugs of water. Okay, lift those regularly. I have to get 2 more gallons because I used the water when we had a chlorine infusion. I used to, and then outward stretch. Use your head. You don't need to buy expensive gym equipment in the sporting goods store. Use common sense. There was a cute show where they were showing how on the Animal Channel, and then on Dr. Oz, they did a takeoff on it last year, where on the Animal Channel, this guy was lifting his dog and doing lift-ups, up, whatever you ever call it, with barbells, where you're lifting up, and then over. Okay, so on Dr. Oz, some couples made tapes of using their kid. And the baby was laughing and laughing and laughing. So be creative. You get your own ways of making yourself a better person. Healthier because the body carries around the soul. And if you want to be heard, you need to have a body. And also, it's lousy to be sick. Take it from me. I've had one ailment or another my entire life, and I got to tell you, it's a drag. Health karma is part of my life's difficulties. I'm well aware of this. Saturn doesn't need to tell me again. So I would like you to take a pencil and paper and keep it where you meditate. You're going to meditate, and where you sleep, where you maybe take an afternoon nap, and you're going to wake up with an idea and write that idea down. It could be something that you are doing that you're not aware of. It could be some flaw that you're just discovering about yourself. Or if you have really good friends, and I mean good friends who are honorable and kind and loving and love you dearly despite whatever flaws you may have, ask your friends, if you could change anything about me, what it would be. And write it down. Don't get insulted. Don't even, I never, just shut up and listen. Make it a round table discussion so that you go from person to person to person. What would you be? How would you be different? What would you like to see me do differently, etc. And learn something about yourself that maybe you're totally unaware of. That's a really good idea. And keep that list separately. I'm getting from my director, thinks it's a good idea. Keep that list and add to it, or check off how you're changing it and what you're doing to change it and when. And then refer back to it and say, oh, have I fallen backwards? Am I going back to that old habit again that nobody likes about me? okay, I got to pay attention, because that's what Saturn wants you to do. The great teacher wants you to be the very best you can be in the universe. As a spark of the God force, you are limited only by your imagination and by opportunities. So you can't be an astronaut, but you can learn about astronomy. You can learn about the space shuttles. You can work for a company that has something to do with the NASA program. You can join the Air Force. You can do something that is related. You can make it a hobby. Say you're an accountant and you always wanted to be an artist. Well, get yourself a Buddha board. They come bigger, I think, don't they, as well? You don't know? Yes, they do. I'm telling you. Plus, I'm sure all of you, except for me, have this great big iPad where you can draw things on it, or you can do something really old-fashioned. Are you ready? Go to the art supply store or Michael's or one of those places and get a pad with, are you ready? Blank paper, and get a box of crayons. And then draw. Teach yourself to draw. The Buddha board that I got for Christmas Eve, I just did a sketch of flowers. I used to do pen and inks a lot. I used to do watercolors. And I just did an old flower the way I used to do it, and I still had it. That's really interesting. After the last 10,000 years of not picking up any artwork, that's what I was able to do. So if you have a talent or an ability, use it to relax yourself. Instead of watching television every square minute of the day, watch important shows. If you're in between, then turn the sound off for an hour and do some sketching if you always wanted to be an artist. Then you can say to yourself, you know, that's not bad. And take a course at the local Y or take a course at the local college. A lot of community centers give art classes. Then maybe you want to get into sculpting, you want to get into something else. If you always wanted to do clothing design, start working with some fabrics, start working with some scarves, put some ideas together, sketches. And if every town has a local dress shop, bring your sketches to the local dress shop. Don't leave them there. Take them with you. Don't let them make copies, because they'll give them to somebody else and they'll make your dress, which will be making a fortune, I'm sure. But say, this is my talent. What do you think? Would you like me to work up some designs and we can work together? I can be your private designer. They'll probably say work up 3 things: spring, summer, and fall, wedding, daytime, nighttime, and always draw up a contract and say you will do the first 3 designs for, say, $10 a piece, plus any royalties if the items sell. And then you work up a contract after that their attorney doesn't work up. Maybe their attorney works up, but you bring to your attorney. You can't have one attorney representing two parties who have opposite ideas. So you could find yourself doing clothing design. You could design ties. I've seen some really ugly ties. Really ugly ties. They're so frightening. They're so ugly. So say to yourself, what's good fabric? Because fabric is key. And what are some great designs? You can even do watercolors on fabric. So therefore, you can do these things. You can divert your attention from everyday humdrum activities by doing something creative or doing something healthy for you. Grow plants, grow flowers. I'd love to have the kind of property I used to have in Connecticut where I could have a greenhouse. I'd have flowers, I'd have peonies 12 months out of the year. So do things that you know you can accomplish. Put that on your 2015, your 2016, your 2017, etc. list of things to accomplish this year. And you can add to it as you've lost 50 pounds, say, okay, new goal underneath, another 10 pounds before the end of the year. Say you've accomplished that. Say another 10 pounds by the end of the year. Even if you've lost 80 pounds out of the 100, you're far healthier than you were before. You have goals that you set for yourself that were realistic. You are doing this Saturn and Sagittarius thing by communicating with yourself. And tell your friends. So your friends don't serve up whipped cream desserts every time, or say, I won't have dessert, or I'll just have yogurt, or I'll just have a little fruit. Don't have a lot of fruit because that is a lot of sugar. Now they've discovered you shouldn't have a lot of fruit because there's so much sugar in the fruit that you can gain weight. What the heck can we eat besides grass along the road? I'm getting to the point where enough already. So if you eat fruit modestly and you make sure that you have carbohydrates and proteins for every meal, which is, if you're a diabetic or hypoglycemic, you know that's important for the way the body works together. And protein should not be from dead animal bodies. You can have eggs, you can have cheese, you can have soy, you can have whey, you can have all different types of, there's even a seaweed which has protein in it. There's all kinds of things. Do the research. Go online, check meat-free protein right there in front of you. And if you're lactose intolerant, you can have, I bought by mistake an Amy's macaroni and cheese, lactose, gluten-free, everything free, and I didn't like the taste, and I thought, gee, did I let this spoil in the car? What happened? And I saw the box was green instead of the brown one, which is rice pasta instead of wheat pasta. So it's brown, so it's gluten-free. But if you ate it 2 or 3 times, you get used to it. So if you're lactose intolerant, because they have a cheese-like product that gives you protein, and it's not cheese if you're lactose intolerant. So you can have your mac and cheese, and you're not going to get sick. So these are things you can do for yourself. And so as you're communicating with yourself and being honest and making your lists and asking, now next step is to ask your friends and loved ones whom you trust, what about me would you change? And making that list and work on it. And then you say something honest and not getting back at somebody, because heck with you. You spend your life getting even with people. Who needs you? So say to yourself, gee, what is the thing I would like to change? I don't know. I can't think of anything. If I come up with anything, I'll let you know. Or do something the person can change. If they have brown eyes and you want them to have blue eyes, bag it, because that's not important. What's important is, are they healthy? If you want them to take better care of themselves. Say, I would love it if you took better care of yourself. I'll go to the doctor with you next time. Let's go bike riding together. Whatever. Okay, so now you're communicating to your loved ones and close family members and friends who you care about and who care about you. And now take those communication skills that you're developing and put them out there. Maybe write an op-ed piece in your newspaper. Maybe write an article for the paper. Maybe if you have a special interest, say, I've got to move my leg before it dies. Oh, under the table, there we go. I was falling asleep. Say to yourself, I'm particularly interested in conservation. Why don't I do some research on, say, what's happening to the trees in the park? Why are these trees dying? Where are the honeybees? Do some research, write an article, contact the local paper, or shop it around to magazines and local magazines, shop it around to National Geographic, for all we know. It's really hard to get anything published in National Geographic, and I didn't know they don't have their own photographers on staff anymore. They don't pay people for that. They just take submissions, and you get a very little amount for submitting a photograph, which is really sad because National Geographic puts out some of the best photographs, and it takes years to be a really excellent photographer. So in some cases, you're saying to yourself, I don't know, does that belong in National Geographic? Well, if you're under 20, you don't know the difference. If you're over 20, you know the difference. So if you've been looking at National Geographic thinking, gee, is this a National Geographic photo? That's why. They're taking a lot of novice work. Has to be good. There's a difference between good and great. If you want to take up photography, do it. But don't think you're going to be published in National Geographic, because they've got submissions from all over the world, which you can get published in your national community magazine if you get good enough. And if not, you can create a whole poster or a whole billboard that you can post in the elementary school or the high school. Go to the high school principal and say, I've got this whole group of birds here. Can I have a board? You know, in the hallways, they've got these cork boards, and you can put up different things in different categories. Can I post the birds for information for the kids? They're going to say, yes, we're thrilled. The art department is going to thank you. You don't have to come up with a new idea. So you can get people to see your work. Sagittarius is the art of communicating with skill and with dignity and truth. Saturn is the great teacher that teaches you how to do things properly. It inspires you to be better. It inspires you to be stronger and wiser and gather good information if something feels wrong to you. If in your gut you know something is wrong, like as a Catholic we were taught, you have to be Catholic to go to heaven. And I fought. And thank God for Stephen Carlson, because he and I looked at each other and he stood up and said, Father Mary, we do not have to be Catholic to go to heaven. He screamed at the top of his lungs. He was enraged by the two of us as we disagreed. And he screamed that you have to be Catholic to go to heaven. There are people on this planet who absolutely know, because the priest told them, the rabbi told them, the mullah told them, they have to be Islamic, they have to be Jewish, they have to be Catholic to go to heaven, or they have to be Mormon. Big secret, if you're not Mormon, you're going to hell. Where the Buddhists and the Hindus sit back and laugh and say, these people are morons. Buddha says, be kind, be thoughtful of all sentient beings, that's beings with a soul, whether it's a tree or a bunny or a pussycat or a person, elephant, earthworms. I don't like slugs, however, or mosquitoes. I refuse to like them. Slugs devour my flowers. Mosquitoes kill us with their diseases. Or those spiders I showed you earlier. So understand that you cannot hide from God. You cannot hide from your guardian angel. You cannot hide from the rest of the world, because people are observing you. People are looking at you in the supermarket. People are saying to themselves, what about that person? What is it about that person that I like? Or what is it about that person I don't like? There are people who will tell you have to have their ideas in order to go anywhere in life. Not true. If all you live by is the golden rule, because maybe you haven't had a good education, maybe you don't know how to read well, why don't you take a reading course in your local library or your local elementary school or high school? Or why don't you ask a neighborhood kid, give the neighborhood kid $10 an hour to teach you how to read? High school kid, college kid. That can go towards credits for them as well, you know, because you get credits for performance. So you would have to sign a form saying so-and-so taught you how to read, and these are the things that you read, and you sign it and date it, and the child presents it to class and they get credit for it. So you can repair a lot of things. So if you've been told something that doesn't make sense to you, and here's a marker, don't look around town, look up in the sky at night and say, these are a lot of mostly burned out stars. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. And these stars were in solar systems like ours. How many solar systems and galaxies are there? And then look over at your church and say, and I'm supposed to follow you to get to heaven? Does this make sense? I don't think so. So I'd worry less about the inside of the church or the synagogue or the mosque, and worry more about what God and the angels think. If you were to die at this very minute, could you face God and the angels third eye to third eye? That's your soul as a light beam with your guardian angel behind you going, oh, I failed again. Or, I did good. Could you stand there and look at God and the angels third eye to third eye and say, I did the very best I could. I think I mattered. I think I made a difference. I think I made things better. What do you think? And expect an affirmative answer? Or would you be downcast and sort of kicking a stone and looking around and saying, well, you know, I tried. I sort of tried. How do you want to face God and the angels? Because everyone faces God and the angels. I don't care if you're an atheist. Christopher Hitchens, who crossed over in 2014, who everybody knew as a pundit, who was a raging agnostic, atheist. Agnostic is someone who says, okay, there may be a God, prove it to me. Atheist says there's no such thing as a higher power. Christopher Hitchens was bitterly atheist. And you have to say to yourself, what happened to him when he was younger? Was he molested by priests? Was he molested by a trusted family member and he went to the priest, like I went to the priest as a kid because I was being battered? And he said, pray. I said, I've been praying. I need help. He said, pray, and that's it. They got rid of me. I'm not bitter against the world. He was a jerk. He was out of line. I should have gotten help. He should have called the police. But I didn't. But I don't hold it against the world, and I don't hold it against the Catholic Church. I wasn't being sexually molested. I was being battered. There is a difference. So say to yourself, what has happened to that person in this lifetime? What has happened to that person in previous other lifetimes? Because remember, we're not just a product of our experiences now. We're a product of our experiences before, in other lifetimes. Why is someone who lives in the middle of the desert, never seen the ocean, afraid of drowning? Where does that come from? Past lives. Why is someone who lives on a small island surrounded by ocean afraid of dying in a fire? Past lives. So we're a collection of everything we've ever been, every place we've ever been, every thought we've ever had, whether it seems logical to you now or not. If you step back out of yourself and see yourself way up on one of those distant stars and look down, you won't even see the earth. So take that into account when somebody tells you, you have to be this, or you're going nowhere, young man. Or you have to be Catholic or Jewish or Islamic to get to heaven, or Muslim or a Mormon. Because you don't. Because I promise you on my soul, there's no religion in the heavens. There's only goodness and kindness and godness and graciousness and love and softness and joy and harmony in places that are not so happy, where you may go if you've been cruel. Those are different versions of hell. Dante's Inferno is mostly kind of created. It's a Catholic boy's fears gone mad. But my Father's house has many mansions. That means there are many existences besides this one. Most of them are astral. And if you've been cruel, if you've been malicious, if you've been devious, you're going to pay for it. If not in this lifetime, then in other lifetimes. And maybe that's why you've come back with a feeling of bitterness and everybody's against you. Where'd that come from? Say you had great parents and your brothers and sisters were great and everybody was great to you. Well, it doesn't seem logical for this lifetime, but it's logical from others. And Saturn is trying to teach you that to be your very best is to excel and uplift the soul. To have the most knowledge and wisdom that you can possibly have is the very best thing that you can do for yourself, because that spreads. You tell your friends. You keep that knowledge and wisdom moving forward and gathering more and gathering more and gathering more, and you get brighter and brighter and brighter. That's what Saturn is trying to do for us, is to teach us in Sagittarius till December 21st, 2017, that we have to be better communicators with ourselves and the universe. Nationally and internationally, this could mean war if people don't listen. It could mean horrible tragedies. It could mean miscommunications. It could mean more hacking. It could mean more planes going down. A plane just went down after Saturn went into Sagittarius. So it means that you are being told to be the very best and contribute the very best and the truth, not fabrications, not anybody else's ideas. And if you just open up your hearts and minds to God's universal truth, you're going to know that God and the angels are always with you. I'm Linda Bennett with Metaphysically Speaking.